Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I'm Scott, your host, and a man who is seriously looking for a property tax refund because of the frigid temperatures here in California. There needs to be a rule that says if the temperature falls below into the 30s, that we start to get money back on property taxes. That's what I think. I think we need to make sure government's working on that. That's a plan. That's an important plan. It needs to happen. And with me in the booth, man, I mean, is a guy that he redefines the word bone chilling. To be honest, is he always toasty? Paul B, how's it going?
Good. I've never been called that before. I like it. I agree with you. Yeah, the only reason for the high taxes in this state is because of the warm weather and sunshine. If we don't get that, then what's the point? Might as well move to Nebraska or something.
Exactly, refund. I say refund, but I was laughing because the bone chilling thing was funny because I put a post on Facebook. ABC, I think, posted locally. They said it's going to be bone-chilling temperatures in Southern California, and I kind of, as a former, Missouri resident, a transplant from the Midwest, I just kind of that always makes me laugh. I'm like, it's not quite bone-chilling. I mean, it's like a severe sweatshirt warning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's so not bone-chilling. I guess it depends on where you're standing.
Or if you just insist on going out in your, boxer shorts and sandals, sure, I guess so.
Yeah. I see people in shorts still. People are just bucking the trend. They're like, screw it. I don't care if it's 39. I'm going. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm wearing sandals anyway.
Yep.
You guys staying warm down there in San Diego?
Yeah. It really been cooling off at night, but like you said, you throw on a nice thick sweatshirt and you're good. It's not the end of days yet.
It's not California has not issued a severe sweatshirt warning.
No.
It's all good. Well, good, folks. You are tuned into episode 112 of The Big Show, and this one is called The Super Bowl of Marketing. We're going to talk all about the Super Bowl. But first, who am I? So I run a public relations and marketing firm for companies who are ready to win at marketing, and if you want to reach me, here's how you do it. Scott at RobertsonCom, 2Ms like communication.com, on my website, RobertsonCom2Ms.com, and also social, as will come as no surprise, Twitter at RobertsonCom, 2Ms, and also Facebook.com/RobertsonCom, once again with the 2Ms. I say that a lot, on the show, and because people get it wrong. And I had one person this week that said, "I put only one M in your email, and it bounced forever." And it's like, yes, the two M's. It's got to be pretty exact. The internet's an unforgiving place, and so is email and all those things. So 2Ms like communication, and you're in good shape to find me. So let's talk about the Super Bowl. It's been called everything from the big game, mainly because of trademark issues, and the NFL will sue your butt if you call it the Super Bowl, to the Super Bowl. And then everything's measured like it. It's like, hey, this is the Super Bowl of rock and roll, or the Super Bowl of, guacamole recipes, or the Super Bowl of whatever. But, it's marketing's biggest day / night. And so we're going to talk about it. Why not? And we're talking about who won, who lost, who gained ground, who really blew it. So we're going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy one more time. And in this, Lombardi Trophy edition of May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. I guess I better get the obvious out of the way first. So I am a Los Angeles Rams fan. This game did not work out for us. This is not a sports analyst show. I could talk football with you all day long, but the simple fact of the matter is the Patriots beat us. And as much as people want to create all kinds of excuses for why the Rams lost, the reason the Rams lost is because the Patriots played better. You know, they simply played better defense. Our defense played great. Their defense played greater, and they got the trophy. And that's kind of how it goes. So the Rams are a young team, hopefully back in the race again. A lot of fun to watch. As I told people, I wasn't too crushed to see the Rams, lose in the Super Bowl, because it was awesome to have the Rams in the Super Bowl. As a football fan, I just want to be entertained and see a good game. We did not see a good game actually on the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, but the Rams were fun to watch all season long, and looking forward to many more years of that. So that's the football part. That's what happened in the game. But let's talk about the marketing part. So the game overall, it didn't do so great. It basically had its lowest ratings in a decade. A lot of that was probably because the fact that you had two teams on the coasts, and the rest of the country kind of it's very easy to say, well, none of our teams are in there, so we're out, that kind of thing. And so heavy viewership on both coasts, but and you've seen that before. Like if it's a heavy East Coast thing, you can see people tune out because they don't have a regional dog in the hunt. But it was actually seen by 100.7 million viewers, and it was the smallest Super Bowl audience in a decade. The Nielsen company said viewership dropped 3% from last year's 103.4 million, and the game was a real defensive struggle. It was only a 13-3 game, and it was kind of a struggle for casual fans of the game to watch. It's a struggle for any fan of the game to watch because the game sucked. The game was a lot of punts, a lot of defensive plays, and not much exciting offense. The Super Bowl is traditionally the most watched television event of the year, and the audience hasn't dipped below 100 million since 2009. But the TV audience has been dwindling since 2015, when it had 114.4 million. So it's been down. It's been down a little bit. It's down lowest ratings in a decade. So overall, that's what you got. And of course, what's interesting is that advertisers certainly are not charging less for Super Bowl ads. They're charging as much or more. A 30-second ad goes for about $5 million for every 30 seconds. And that's big money. That can add up. So let's talk about the kind of one of the interesting strategies that I saw going into the game was T-Mobile's. T-Mobile, said they were going to do a Super Bowl ad. One of the things that I thought was interesting about T-Mobile was the fact at how far in advance they started promoting the fact that they were going to be around the Super Bowl, and I thought that was pretty good. They use social media very, very well. They're a company that kind of understands its brand, right? They're definitely not thought of as like one of the main carriers, I guess is a good way to say it, with Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, although AT&T owns them, they're always kind of this, Avis, we try harder kind of brand in the mobile space. And the mobile space is interesting because there's a lot of money in it, of course, and that kind of thing. But leading up to the Super Bowl, T-Mobile teased a really big announcement across its social channels. And they tweeted a bunch of Super Bowl ads they might air via word scramble puzzles, which kind of revealed hashtag Super Bowl Sunday. T-Mobile has 4 spots, one in every quarter yet. One in every quarter, that kind of thing. And on game day, they heavily promoted hashtag T-Mobile Tuesdays, revealing Taco Bell and Lyft rides for its customers. It was really, they're going after young customers, right? So they're partnering with Taco Bell, they're partnering with Lyft in a powerful way. They're offering, powerful things. And I have to say that I thought that their ads really stood out. In the analysis of the ads, they were some of the best ads that I saw all day. They were funny. They really have a good grasp of how the game is watched, right? How do you watch the Super Bowl? You're usually in kind of a party atmosphere. There's more than just you there. Either you're at some bar somewhere watching it, or you have your own party of people around, and everybody's talking, right? And so you can't hear what's going on in the ads or whatever. And the T-Mobile spots were so good because they just basically showed text messages, and they were really funny. They parodied some great memes out there that were really that have been really funny, And I thought that they did just a fantastic job from the entire strategy, all the way from announcing that they were going to be involved in the Super Bowl, all the way through paying off with some of the best ads. Now, I'm kind of alone in that opinion, because most of the pundits of advertising say that the T-Mobile ads, they don't even show up like on their lists of like the best ads. But to me, they were short, they were funny. Everybody at my Super Bowl party laughed at them and thought that they were strong. And because they kept going throughout the entire game, they did a fantastic job with continuity through the entire program, I thought. So my winner for the Super Bowl ads is definitely T-Mobile. The pundits will say that Budweiser, and especially specifically Bud Light, was probably the winner, and especially with things like, they did a very, very good job with their playing off their kind of medieval dilly-dilly campaign, the king and everything. And they did they acted out a scene from Game of Thrones, and basically kind of parodied a scene from Game of Thrones, and did a crossover tie-in with Game of Thrones, with the the final season coming up and that kind of thing. And I thought that was extremely well done. I'm not even a Game of Thrones fan. I haven't really watched the show that much, and I thought that was really, really well done. And Bud Light, made its point about corn syrup, right? They really were going to go against their competitors and say, we're the only ones that don't have corn syrup, and that kind of thing, and we're the only ones who don't sweeten our beer, and that kind of thing. So I thought that they did a good job. I think that the one of my favorite ads was the spot for Bublé, the flavored seltzer sold by Pepsi. It was great because they got Michael Bublé in the game, and they got to play on their name in a really funny way. And Michael Bublé did a great job, right? He did kind of played a disgruntled version of himself, and he's upset that they're stealing his brand, and he's adding the accent on all their product names and stuff. So it was I thought that was really well done, I got to say. I thought that Microsoft did a great job with this inspirational ad. They've been talking a lot about it's more fun when we all play, and talk and showing gamers with disabilities. Great job for Microsoft. A couple of good things. Why is it great for Microsoft to do that? To me, it's great because it reminds people. It's very easy to forget that one of the best gaming platforms out there, Xbox, is controlled by Microsoft, because Microsoft is not a fun brand, right? It has a lot of enterprise stuff going on. It has, even their operating system software is not really fun, and they've always sort of been the stiffer, more geeky cousin to Apple's super cool, amazing design and all those kind of things. Although the gap is certainly closing. But I thought that their inspirational ad showing gamers with disabilities was absolutely fantastic. It's powerful, pulls at the heartstrings. They have a real message, and talking about it's more fun when we can all play, and that kind of thing. And they really played it off, through the brand, very, very well. And I think that that's great because, again, it reminds people that Microsoft is the company that is, a force in gaming, and not always one that you think of in the same way. There's people that think of like the sibling brand before you think of Xbox One, and you're like, oh yeah, Microsoft does make that, and you have to kind of stop yourself from saying that. Some other ones that I liked, I thought that the Colgate's Close Talker one, starring Luke Wilson, I thought that was pretty good. What are you going to say about toothpaste, right? I mean, I thought that was it was pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of an old gag. It's kind of things, but I thought that Luke Wilson certainly made that work. He made that work, really, really well. I do want to talk about, Verizon did a spot called "The Team That Wouldn't Be Here," and Peter Berg handled the directing duties for it, and it really talks about the brave work of first responders, right? And they showed, coach from the Denver Broncos, out there, and he said, well, I wouldn't, and it's a powerful spot. He said, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for these first responders who saved my life, and that kind of thing. And it's great right up until the point when the Verizon logo pops up at the end. And everybody around me at that time had that kind of inquisitive WTF look on their face that goes like this, where you're like, I'm sorry, but what the hell do you have to do with first responders? So this is a lesson. This is a fantastic lesson. You can have the most powerful thing in the world, but if you're not tied to it, if you're just slapping your logo at the end of something and you haven't made it clear how you're involved with the thing, then you have taken your, $5 million per every 30 seconds and flushed it right down the toilet. Because you're not getting any brand value out of that. You haven't made it clear the connection between you and first responders. I still don't know what it is. I have to guess what it is. My guess is, they use Verizon phones. Was Verizon even around back when these events happened? They certainly can't take any credit for being part of the first responder team that saved the coach from the Denver Broncos, because they weren't even a network back when that happened. So I don't really understand that. And I think, and as somebody that talks about messaging all the time, and I do talk about messaging quite a bit, I think it's important to have your message, make sure that you connect your message to it. You can't just do a warm, fuzzy ad and make everybody in the room cry and then just slap any logo at the end of it and then just think that you're going to get that emotional transfer. You're not. It has to be a clear connection. Like I said, I'm still struggling. I still don't know what the hell Verizon's connection is with first responders. And maybe I missed something. I don't even know. But anyway, I thought it was a good ad up until that point. I thought that Olay had a very good ad with Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she plays a kind of a frightened horror heroine. She's basically, and it talks about killer skin and everything. And I thought that was extremely well done. I thought it was good to kind of play on her and the fact that you're used to seeing her in a horror movie kind of setting and that kind of thing. And then the fact that all the PR around it, called her Buffy and tied into the nostalgia of, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is, fantastic show back in the day. So anyway, I thought they deserve a lot of kudos for trying to think of a way to tie in their product and make it, more entertaining and more, and more cool. One of my favorite ads too was Amazon. I thought Amazon jokes about Alexa are definitely great. And Amazon had a great time making fun of itself about all the things that Alexa couldn't go into, and using Harrison Ford was genius, and using Forrest Whitaker was great, and they had some of their celebrity appearances and things like that. But I thought that that was just a really, really great ad, from a company that does okay advertising, but not always great. But you guys are great because you're listening to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader of music biz talk. I'm Scott. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing this week.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody, happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your happy host, hanging out with Paul B., your happy DJ, mixer.
What are you
engineer.
so happy about?
It's Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dude, Friday rules. You got any gigs tonight?
No, I actually had a gig last week that was really fun. We interviewed a bunch of notable drummers. We're doing a show with Sabian.
Ooh, nice.
We interviewed David Garibaldi from Tower of Power, John Paris from Earth, Wind, and Fire, Mark Schulman from Pink,
nice.
Rich Redmond, Jason Aldean's drummer, and the guy named Roger Friend, who played with like ABBA and Tom Jones and a whole bunch of people. And he actually lives in San Diego, and he came out to my gig with Bump City Brass.
Wow.
Horn funk band, and he like really wanted to sit in, and he sat in on a song, and oh man, he killed it. That guy like is next level. It was awesome. We got the whole place bumping. So I had a fun gig last week.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm playing tonight. I'm over at some sports bar in Lake Forest.
Nice. Are you gonna be like Axl Rose with like a throne where to keep you off your feet?
Exactly. Yeah. Try to. For my NAM injury that I'm still
injury.
nursing.
just
getting old.
You just need a throne of bases, like a bass throne.
I'm going to be the first bassist to have one of those little carts, those little like electric scooter cart things. And I'm just gonna like stage dive.
No! You should ride out into the crowd with the wireless and just like ride around with like doing a sick bass solo.
Sick bass solo on the cart. And I'll be like, my foot hurts because I walked around too much at NAM and I'm getting old. It's so sad.
I hurt my foot kicking ass all day.
Kicking ass, man. I'll tell you, it's sad because I'm like on the IR. My wife was like, so when do you get to come back into the game? And I was like, I don't know when I'm off the IR. I have to check the injury report and see how I'm doing. Well, fun. Let's talk about who's winning and losing in the big world, shall we? Delta Airlines apologizes for super creepy Diet Coke napkins, which encourages flirting on their flights. Delta Airlines and Coca-Cola are apologizing after passengers called their in-flight napkins, quote-unquote, creepy for encouraging romantic advances on planes. Good Lord. The Diet Coke branded paper napkins, which were distributed as part of Delta Flight's beverage and snack service. Of course, I mean, do you have to add that sentence, by the way? We know when the napkins are distributed. Good God. Feature a message that encourages people to give their name and phone number on a fellow passenger they have a quote-unquote crush on. Oh, my God. So here's what the napkin said, and you can't make this level of stupid up. Because you're on a plane full of interesting people, and hey, you never know, the napkin reads. On the back, there are 2 blank lines to be filled in with the name and number. Fine print on the side encourages the reader to be a little old school. Write down your number and give it to your plane crush. You never know. 2 passengers who were disturbed by the napkin suggestion took to Twitter to express their concerns. Oh man. So, geez, I mean, here's the thing. Not all ideas, marketing ideas, should happen. Not all ideas that you come up with should live. They should be killed, right? That's the judgment part of marketing. Like when you're sitting in a room and somebody says, hey, we could do napkins where people could like flirt with people next to them. What do you say in that meeting? If you're me, what do you say? That's really, really stupid. Stop talking. That's a really, really bad idea. It's going to open us up. If you're in the marketing department and you open your company up regularly to criticism and fire and boycotts and all that crap, then you suck at your job. Your job is to build relationships with people and not do things like that, right? We talk about risk in communications, and we talk about sometimes not doing anything will be better than doing something dumb. This is something dumb that if you just pass out the napkins, man, ain't nobody looking for a napkin that has a special clever saying on it anyway. Just stop it. Stop it already. I mean, stop it. That's my message. Losing Coca-Cola, losing Delta, figure it out. What's the matter? And by the way, just stop it. What's the matter with you? So anyway, you know who's winning and who could have been losing but is probably winning is Jeff Bezos. The National Enquirer he says that the National Enquirer is blackmailing him with nude photographs. And this is all over the news later this week here. He says top people at the National Enquirer are trying to blackmail him by publishing photos that show the Amazon chief executive naked. And he wrote a stirring blog post, which I encourage you to read, by the way. It's very very long and interesting. And basically, Bezos says that he was made an offer that he couldn't refuse. Rather than capitulate to extortion and blackmail, I've decided to publish exactly what they sent me, despite the personal cost and embarrassment they threaten. So talk about doubling down, right? They're going to blackmail you, and you say, screw you, I'm going to out you for blackmailing me, kind of thing. You know, you got to kind of appreciate that, don't you? I mean, a little bit. I mean, I say, and you know, before you say, is this really a marketing issue? It's definitely a public relations issue. Amazon's definitely getting ready to figure out what to do when, you know, nude selfies of their CEO are everywhere, and they're going to be scrambling to kind of figure out what to what to do, what to say, how to how to talk about this. But I kind of admire the approach. I got to say, it's kind of the approach that I think a lot of us would want to take. You know, it's, you know, obviously there's a lot more to this story than I have time to get into. And I encourage you, you probably have already seen quite a bit of it, but, the National Enquirer is trying to, blackmail this guy. So he outs them first. And I think winning. I think winning. I think I got respect for that. I think I like that better, even though obviously, he's done some stuff that he's probably not proud of and that kind of thing. But in terms of the National Enquirer situation, I think that's probably a good way to handle a blackmail situation like that. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to say about that. I think that is probably a good thing for him. But I'm sure Amazon's going to be scrambling as they try to figure out, what to say next on this, and especially if the National Enquirer goes forward and publishes these photos, which I personally don't need to see, got to say. But, I'm sure they'll be out there at some point. Let's move on to Facebook, shall we? Facebook Messenger this week got an unsend feature. And a couple of interesting things about this. So now Facebook has a feature that lets you delete messages from a conversation after you've sent them. So in case you send the wrong message to the wrong person or make a huge typo, you can remove it in Messenger now. You know what's interesting about this is they said that this is the version of Messenger that Mark Zuckerberg actually has. He has a different version of Facebook than you have. He has a version where he can go in and edit things that you can't edit. And which, he programmed the thing. Why not? But first of all, I think that's interesting, right? That he has a different version. And second of all, that now he's given you the same kind of power. You have the power to delete it within 10 minutes of sending it. So you can basically, there's two options: remove for everyone or just remove for you. Remove from everyone replaces your message with the text that the message has been removed by you. There you go. So now there's a mystery. What did he remove? Was it a typo, or did he accidentally post a naked selfie of himself in the group chat? Who's to say? But anyway, that's what's going on with the Facebook Messenger. It's good for you guys to know that. And speaking of Facebook, Facebook is virtually irrelevant to Generation Z. Generation Z, which every marketer is lusting after, the kids, the teens, the kids are out there doing kid things. Well, basically, Taylor Lawrence, the staff writer at The Atlantic, has written a story. It was covered on Digiday this week. I encourage you to check that out. Basically saying that Facebook is irrelevant to Gen Z and that Instagram is the perfect modern social network which allows kids to express their identity in a fluid way, which is what they want, blah, blah, blah. In Facebook, you have one profile. You can't start multiple things. On Instagram, you can perform different identities and wipe it anytime you want, start over, or change your username. It feeds into how kids like to connect and express themselves online. Now, that's kind of fascinating, right? The fact that adults, we stay with Facebook because we don't want to recreate the wheel in our entire profiles. But she's saying in her research that Gen Z is very comfortable moving in and out of various different identities and sort of being different people at different times, on Instagram. So as a marketer, you kind of got to know that, right? Why is it important that you know that? Because you may be thinking that you have different numbers for a certain number of people, but what if the same kids, the same teens, were actually represented with different usernames and different things and visiting things, and you thought those were multiple kids, but it's actually the same kid, right? We talked about how a lot of these numbers are sort of fluid, in internet marketing measurement. And I think that adds another element to it, which is kind of interesting. And she also talks a lot about influencer culture and a few things that are also pretty fascinating. If you want to go for a deeper dive on that one, make sure you check that out. But I think that what do we say about Facebook overall? Facebook, I don't know. I think they're certainly winning for the unsend feature, but certainly losing in the fact that Taylor Lawrence is now calling it irrelevant to Gen Z. So anyway, that's a winning and a losing right there. Just while we're talking about Instagram advertisers, by the way, a new report came out in Marketing Land this week that says that Instagram advertisers stay loyal and keep spending more. Their ad business had a really stellar year in 2018. And they saw a 120% increase in ad spending over the year. And during the fourth quarter, they were up 43% over the third quarter results. So basically, for every dollar spent on Instagram by a new advertiser in 2018, existing advertisers increased their spending by $4. So advertising on social media, which you wouldn't think is going to be a great thing, right? Because most people on social media don't like advertising. But these Gen Z folks who obviously bounce around in different identities and swirl around and these kind of things, they are a little bit more tolerant, I think, to the advertising on social media. And obviously, you're seeing advertisers either out of desperation for something that'll work, or just because they're seeing results, they're spending more money on Instagram, and that's something that we certainly can't ignore. So, anyway, keep it in mind. That's what I say. Well, AI-powered robots are now being used to report the news. Oh, man. Last week, the Australian edition of The Guardian, the UK paper, posted an article with no byline. The data-driven report was the first of its kind for the publication for one intriguing reason. It was written entirely by a robot. And at the article stated at the end, this story was generated by ReporterMate, an experimental automated news reporting system. So robot reporters are becoming more and more ubiquitous in another instance of technology transforming the landscape of journalism. Now, I can't imagine that this is a good thing. I'm outspoken about AI in a lot of ways, but I can't imagine that. First of all, we're bleeding journalists right and left in this country and around the world because nobody wants to pay for content. And then, basically you have media outlet owners that are saying, well, why don't we replace real journalists with robot reporters? And then they can generate content all the time and yada, 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 and we can program them to kind of do these kind of things and that kind of thing. There better be a fact-checking part of the AI robot assigned to this thing. You better have some checks and balances in this thing like crazy, because algorithms make mistakes. They make mistakes. Humans make mistakes too, but we have checks and balances for that. And this trend is not great. It's not great for a profession that certainly doesn't need less expensive competition coming in and taking their jobs. From a PR perspective, we pitch journalists on stories. So now we're going to be pitching robots. It's like, hey, it really is a weird thing. A weird thing that I don't think is super necessary, and I hope that we put a great stop to it. And I hope that there's not a lot of bots out there, writing our content. I see the end game of that, and I don't think that's pleasant. I don't think that the end game of AI is something that we should be messing around with. And humans are dangerously close. We're only a few years away from creating a real consciousness with AI. And, you guys have seen the sci-fi movies. You know how this movie ends, right? It's like, and yet we're so incredibly either arrogant or I'm just going to say stupid that, scientists, and I have a lot of engineering friends, they're great at inventing things. They're great about saying, here's what we can do. They suck, absolutely suck at what we should do. They're terrible at judgment about what should be invented. And I don't mean just this era of scientists. I mean, look back. I mean, science pushes the boundaries, but this AI thing, there's not a good undo button for this. And I don't just mean in journalism and those kind of things. It's showing up in all kind of forms of business, and we just need to have a lot of caution and carefulness in this. Just for if no other reason than, hey, I saw Terminator, and I think that this is a legitimate possibility. I think human beings are exactly stupid enough to invent something that can't be stopped. I mean, we have people that just invented napkins to flirt with people next to you in an era where you can't even say, baby, it's cold outside without somebody getting pissed off. I mean, we don't, as a species, exhibit the greatest amount of intelligence in the world. And I prove it every single week. Everybody says, oh, Scott, you must be looking really hard to find all these marketing faux pas stories. Are you kidding me? I have 5 times the amount of stories that I have time to publish. That's how much stupid is in the world, folks. That's how much. I mean, I don't even, this podcast, I could do this podcast daily and not fill it with all the stuff that's going on in marketing. Doesn't make any sense at all. So again, just my little diatribe here on AI-powered robots doing journalism is let's not do that. Let's hire journalists. Let's train journalists. Let's have them do that. Let's make sure we have journalists that are that AI is supporting journalists and helping them with the data and stuff. But let's keep our journalists employed for as long as we can. And that's who's winning and losing this week, folks. You're tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. I'm going to give you some tips on how to win without Super Bowl-sized marketing budgets. See you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. It is Friday. You are so friggin' smart because you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media. I'm Scott, hanging with Paul. We just did winning and losing. Paul, what do you like this week? What do you like?
I have a confession to make, Scott. You
weren't listening.
You're my plane crush.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that story? Can you believe that someone in a market position said, and what we're going to do is we're going to put notes that you pass to your plane crush and you can write your phone number on the thing. It's like, and how did that not get shot down?
It's probably someone who wanted an excuse to just be able to do that. Like saying,
can you envision either doing that or having that done to you on a plane?
No.
There is no way that works. There are no conditions in this environment where that works.
I'm no creep or nothing, but the napkin told me to do it, so
Yeah. You're my plane crush, so here's my phone number. You got pretty skin. I look forward to wearing it. I mean, what the hell are you doing with yourselves, people? God. I mean,
or like what's Marty McFly's dad?
Crispin Glover. Yeah.
George. My name is George. George McFly, and you're my plane crash. I mean, my plane crush.
I know, right? There is no way. I mean, God, these people need me at these meetings so badly. Seriously, Delta Airlines and Diet Coke hire me. I would shoot that crap down in a microsecond. There is no way. The second that comes out of somebody's mouth, I'm like, that makes no sense. Shut the hell up. Get out of here. Jeez. They need me. They need me. I think there's too many yes people in the world. There's too many people going, yes, sir, that sounds like a great idea, sir. Well, let's give it a try. People will find it flirty and fun and flirtatious. And it's like, have you heard of the Me Too thing? Yeah. Women are pissed off. Women do not want to be harassed by you with a Diet Coke napkin, you creepy bastard.
In an aluminum tube from which there's no escape, no less.
I mean, it is the worst one I've seen recently. I'm just like, oh my God, why? I wonder if the people that print the napkins, at some point that the people that print the napkins saw those coming out and said, hey man, check this out. No, seriously. Look what they're printing on their napkins. I gotta, and then, they just rolled. I can't even believe it. So anyway, well, that's who's glad. That's talk about losing. That's losing your mind. That's so bad. Let's get into it. So we were talking about the Super Bowl, the whole show, the Super Bowl. And I thought, I get this question a lot. People say, hey, great. That's a great way to reach, 100 million people for 30 seconds or whatever, for $5 million. What would you do? Obviously, Scott, none of your clients have $5 million per 30 seconds, to do that. Especially nobody in music or tech besides Microsoft really has that kind of money. So how do you win in marketing without Super Bowl sized budgets? How do you make a big splash and a big boom and that kind of thing? And how do you get that kind of thing without the millions and millions of dollars in budgets, and that doesn't even count creating the ad, which costs quite a bit of money too. So I'm gonna give you some tips. I'm gonna give you some tips from me to you, and they go like this. Number one, have a great message. Have a great message that is all about them. How did Verizon mess up? They had a great message. It wasn't about them. It wasn't about them, and it wasn't about necessarily their audience. It didn't reinforce the connection. It didn't make the audience. It made the audience feel something, but then there was no connection back between what Verizon did and that. Messaging. So much on my show I talk about messaging, and we always come back to it, but it still needs work. It still needs work. People are in such a hurry to crank out that next Instagram ad, and they're in such a hurry to get down to tactics that they miss the little stuff. And by the little stuff, I'm being sarcastic, and I say the message. The message is the most important thing. It's got to be about them. It's got to be emotional. It's got to be strong. You've got to spend some time thinking about the target audience, what emotional state you want to evoke in them, and you've got to make sure the message does that. With every touch point of branding, you got to make sure you're reinforcing that. And that is commonality between business to business marketing, business to consumer marketing, business to pet marketing, business to parakeet marketing. The bottom line is it has to have a great message that is all about the audience. And I am telling you, with God as my witness, every single new client I meet with, their message sucks. It's awful. It's the wrong message. It's got the wrong target completely. So fix it. It's free, if you hire me, it's almost free, but I don't even charge that much to redo messaging. And people ask me too, they say, your prices are really reasonable for doing messaging. And I say, because messaging needs to be done. You can't have somebody going, well, I like all this package of stuff, but I don't want to do that messaging stuff. It's like what you just said was, I'm really excited about throwing all my money in the toilet and failing miserably. Marketing requires a fantastic message, and that message must be all about the audience. In 2019, going into 2020, going into the AI-controlled overlord worlds of the 2020s, the message still has to be all about the people. If that changes, marketing will let you know. We will let you know, when that changes. But that is the state of marketing we're in now. Number 2, don't go after everyone. There are very few products, services that are for everyone, and if your marketing plan starts with, well, we're for everyone, then you need to do some greater thinking, because that is probably not true, right? And going after everyone is incredibly expensive. The only thing that's for everyone is oxygen, and debatable. People, there could be people that breathe water. We don't know. I'm just saying. The only things in life that target absolutely everybody are at that level, like oxygen, sunlight, maybe. You don't have to go after everybody. Make sure you know who your target is, and if your target is, that's what we do in marketing, is we figure out who's buying, why are they buying, who are we trying to build a relationship, with, who wants a relationship with us, and we're trying to, forge those bonds, and then not do anything dumb, screw it up, like, create weird napkins and things like that, but you don't have to have everybody. You really don't, and you really shouldn't have everybody, and you really shouldn't. Gone are the days when you saw the Super Bowl audience is only 100 million people. How many people in the United States? 330 million, 346 million people, right? So that's only a third, right? And that's worldwide too, right? So how many people on the world? 7 billion, 6-7 billion. So it's like, you don't have to go after everyone. And even the Super Bowl doesn't get everyone. It only gets a small percentage for a small part of the time. But it is fun to say, hey, it's the Super Bowl of this and the Super Bowl of that still. So we get that. But again, tip number 3, be an attractor, not an interrupter. I see a lot of marketing strategies that think about how they can send a lot of stuff out, how they can do a lot of posting and sending and these kind of things. How does a band do it? Right? How does a band get a following? You play great shows. You play incredibly great shows. You play, you try to play one great show after another great show. And you know what happens? And band people know this. You play a great show, you get a few more fans. You play another great show, you get a few more fans. You play another great show, you get more fans. Pretty soon, the whole place is full of people that legitimately want to see you because of what you have done, right? But marketing seems to be really keen on how can we interrupt people? How can we just interrupt people like crazy and do that? Advertising is an interruption, no matter where it is. If you're doing, video ads on somebody's social media feed, here's what you need to understand. You are interrupting what they're there for. And you may be right. You may have the right target, the right information, those kind of things, but you're still an interruption. And don't ever forget it. Don't ever forget that you're, an attractor is somebody that tries to create things and bring them to those things as a way to create relationships that ultimately might, turn into, maybe sales or something positive for the business and those kind of things. But it's more subtle, right? Attraction-based marketing is superior to interruption-based marketing. Interruption-based marketing doesn't consider the needs or the feelings of the audience. Doesn't really give a crap. It puts your needs as the company over the needs of the people that you're communicating to. And that is dangerous. And that is not a good strategy. Again, being an attractor, having an attraction marketing mindset is very, very important in 2019 and 2020. And I don't see it enough. I see a lot of people, I've gotten 3 things on LinkedIn this week from folks that were, in the lead generation business and said that they were going to try to bring me 2 to 3 leads a week and, or 10 leads a month and that kind of thing. And all they have to do to get those leads, Scott, look at all these golden eggs. All we have to do is just slice open this network that you've been, cultivating for years. We just have to slice its belly open and rip all the rest of the golden eggs out. And you have all those golden eggs, man, and you're going to be great. And I'll be, yeah, but the goose is dead. The goose is dead afterwards. And the goose is your reputation. If the reputation is dead, you're dead. Okay? Don't allow your brand to be treated like that ever. So I tell these people on LinkedIn all the time, they say, I can get you 3 to 4 leads a month. I say, no, you can't. No, you can't, because you don't know me. You don't know what my business is. You don't know who I want. And I'm extremely picky, folks. I'm very picky. I go out and I hand pick and select the clients I work with, and they are damn lucky to be working with me. I do not just take anybody. I can't create results for just anybody. They have to come to me through somebody I know. They have to come to me through some connection where I think I can do some really meaningful, cool stuff with them, that kind of thing. Or I have to find them myself and think that this is really cool and this is something I really want to work on. That's the fun part about running your own business. I don't have to take anybody, and so that makes it fun for me, and again, in this world of lead generation and high pressure sales and robocalls and in advertising and ad blockers and all of that bullshit, be real and attract people to your brand. That's what you should do. Number 4, make sure that you're measuring stuff and that you're making adjustments. Don't get so excited about going through your marketing tactics all the time that you don't have KPIs built in and you don't have measurements built in. You should have media impression targets. You should have, valuation targets. I mean, you should have, sales targets, whatever targets you're going to have, but have targets, so that you can make adjustments and say, hey, in this campaign, and come at it like a scientist, don't get personally involved in the whole thing and say, we sent out, we sent out an email campaign and it was a useful email. It wasn't one of these just, buy kind of things. We had good content and we got a good engagement with that. Right. And so we're going to send another one out, but we're going to make some adjustments here. We're going to, and we're going to find out from what people are clicking on and liking and that kind of thing. I mean, if you listen, people will tell you what they want. They really will. They're eager to tell you. And make sure that you're making adjustments. A good marketing program is always making adjustments. That's why when people tell me, oh, Scott, I want you to write me a year marketing plan, I always just kind of laugh. I'm like, okay, well, we can have kind of a guidepost. I don't have year-long marketing plans. The world changes, man. I mean, the world changes too fast to have a marketing plan for a year. Yeah, you have to have a budget for a year, and I certainly understand that. And you have a guide, but you want to give yourself enough flexibility that you can go in and make adjustments. Your job is to do the job, not to follow the marketing plan. Sometimes the plan changes, and you need to change with the marketing plan. There's a lot of people sort of my age in the industry that haven't caught up yet, and they don't really understand that you don't have a year-long marketing plan anymore, and you haven't had it for quite some time, to be honest. So it's really it's important that you are measuring and making adjustments. And my last point is make sure you're having fun doing it. Some of the people, the people that did those T-Mobile ads that I really liked, they probably cackled their butts off while they were doing it. And when you're having fun, this is a good band rule too, by the way. I always tell my bands this when I'm playing with a band. When we're having fun, they're having fun. When you're smiling, they're smiling. And I know that, there's some salty musicians in the 90s that have the rock face or whatever and that kind of thing. My experience is, and I play in a cover band that is designed to kind of get people excited and have fun at the party, is that if we're having fun with each other, if we're joking around, if we're joking on the microphone, if we're having fun, they're there to drink, to have fun, and forget whatever crap is going on in their lives that drove them to a bar tonight to have a good time, right? Our job is to be that distraction and to be awesome at it and have a great time and that kind of thing. In marketing, you're the same thing. You're designed you want to have a lot of fun with your audience. And when you're having fun, they're going to be having fun. So make sure you keep those tips in mind. That's really going to be how you're going to win, even without the supersized budgets. None of the stuff I talked about was expensive in doing, but it's really, really necessary. So what have we learned today, folks? We learned that the Super Bowl is still a pretty big deal, 100 million strong. We all watch it. We get excited about it, but a big blast is not the only way to win the war. Small surgical strikes can certainly help you gain yardage very quickly, as long as you, as long as you don't fumble everything away. And, defense wins championships, is what I say. Defense, unfortunately, that was true for my Rams and the Patriots, but we'll get them next year. That's what I'm saying. That's it for me, folks. Until next week, this has been Scott Robertson from May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Radio. Come on back. Got a fresh show next week. See ya.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?